Shroomraver here, and welcome back to Let's Make a Mini. This is the series where I'll be taking some of our favourite characters from the world of TV, movies, comics, video games, all that good stuff, and making them as TTRPG D&D minifigures right here on Hero Forge. Yes, indeed. Now, today is going to be a character I've wanted to do for quite some time, and with some new updates from Hero Forge, we're going to be able to do that. Hero Forge, of course, is the gift that keeps on giving in terms of updates to races, to gear, to all sorts of stuff. It's fantastic stuff. And what we're going to be using today is some of the new spell effects that you can have on your characters. Specifically, the lightning spell effects. The handheld spell effects, they were rather limited, but now there's been a huge update. There are loads of new options, including this new lightning that I really want to use, because today we're going to be making static from static shock. Yes, we're going to be focusing more on the cartoon as opposed to the comic books. A more youthful envisagement, that's not really a word, but we're going to roll with it. A more youthful envisagement of the character of Static, who actually up until recently I thought his actual character name was Static Shock. It's not, that's just the name of the cartoon. His character is Static. So we're going to be making him. Very exciting stuff, really looking forward to this. So without further ado, let's make a mini. So starting off with our human male. As ever, not a huge amount we really need to do, but we do want to change the hair. Now, Static has gone through several iterations of the hair. We've got the sort of the more anime cartoon hair. We're going to do what we kind of did a little bit with Link when we did him many weeks back, where we kind of draw from several sources. So in the comics, he has more of the kind of dreadlock hair, and we're going to be pulling from that. So a bit further down here, not these kind of dreads, we're going to be looking specifically at these, the swept back dreads, as I've got my various reference pictures going on the screen. We're going to be using these dreadlocks, which they have quite a nice effect. They do have the kind of standing up a little bit, they're not flopping down, which is kind of the effect that I want. And really, as with so many, there's not really much we need to do. He is a human who has gained powers, so really all we need to change is the hair, and that's about it for the bodily changes. One thing I will do though, just on the body, is if I can get the measurements, I'm going to make him a little bit shorter, because he's a kid. I'm going to make him about sort of 5'7", maybe, something like that. We're not going to change the weight too much, you know. He's not like particularly well built, but we don't really need to change too much there. So with that said and done, obviously it doesn't look like him now, but now we can get onto the fun stuff, the gear, the clothing, the colour, and we're really going to start building Static. So let's do that right now. The clothing is going to be where we make him, but it's actually going to be something else that sets him apart. The clothing we can do, Static, of course, he wears a t-shirt, he wears jeans, and he's got that long blue and yellow coat, and his gloves. So if we look at the chest thing, there are lots of long coats we can use, but not really many of them fit the bill particularly. Like, we could use this Outlaw's duster, but again, the shirt isn't quite right, and I don't want these kind of bulky shoulder padding things we've got here, and the cuffs as well. I don't want that. So what we're going to do is scroll down and use something a little bit out of the box. Like, we could be using like stuff like a trench coat. This is one thing I'd quite like for Hero Forge, to make the coats a separate entity. As you can see, they've actually got something new here. The new neck items, which I think is a great addition. We're not going to be using them here, but it shows they can put in like new areas of clothing to go. And I'd quite like to see like jackets and coats as their own separate entity. But for now, we're going to focus on what we can work with. So scrolling all the way down towards the bottom, we're going to use something that we have used before, and it's actually going to be right towards the bottom here. We have the undershirt and trench, which again, it's possible, and we might go back to it, but there is something better, because I don't want him to have that low cut t-shirt that we've got going on here. What I want to do is use the lab coat, because as you can see, it's got more of a v-neck going on, and while Static has that kind of the white t-shirt with the black lightning bolt decal on it, we can't do that unfortunately, but this way we can add just a little bit of different color toning in there, you know, just for a little bit of variety. So we're going to be using that. As you can see around the back, we are going to have a line going down it, which is a bit less than ideal, but it should be fine. We're going to be able to work with it. In terms of the legs, nothing fancy going on here. We're just going to give him a nice pair of jeans. Is that the one we want? Let's have a brief little look. That's probably our best option. The studded jeans we don't really want. The dress pants again. Nah, I don't think we want that. Let's Control Z that and just go back to the slacks. That's going to be absolutely fine. On his feet, I do have a pair of shoes in mind. Nothing armoured going on here. He's just wearing regular clothes. Now we could have something like these athletic shoes or the tennis shoes, stuff like that, but he wears more like trainers, nothing looking like Converse or anything like that. And there is a shoe here that kind of fits the billing. And it's these ones, these futuristic boots. They actually fit the bill quite nicely for what we're trying to work with here. So that is mostly what we're going for with his look. We are going to give him, however, some gloves. He does wear gloves, and with these we're going to be able to get some different coloration tones going on there. We've used this kind of thing before. It's these mechanics work gloves, because what we want is different toning on the cuff and here. He actually goes in a sort of three-tone. It's black, yellow, and then white, and this is going to be the closest we can get to that. Now the last thing we want to do in terms of his clothing slash gear is his face. Now Static of course has the kind of the white mask, and he has his sort of sunglasses or goggles on top of his head. Now unfortunately we can't get that mask, so his face is going to be as is, but what we are going to do is give him the goggles on his head. Now that we can do. We could give him shades, but his eyes mostly are seen under the mask. We don't want to cover them up. So if we scroll down towards the bottom here, we'll be able to find the goggles, which will go on the head. And that is what we're going to work with. Now, we can't, as I say, we can't get the white mask here and the yellow goggles on top. We're going with these kind of yellow goggles slash shades, which he has in the Static Shock cartoon. We're going to make these two-tone to try and make up for that a little bit. Realistically speaking, that's as much as we need to do for the clothing. Now, we're going to be adding some more stuff to this, but for now, I'm just going to sort out the base. We're going to give him this metal textured round base. Now, there is a very good reason for this, and I'll get onto that when we start doing the coloration of that. But for now, let's get into the colouring, and we'll add more stuff as we go along. So, onto the colour. Our basic build, he has black skin. We want to go with this tone. I think is going to be the best. One thing I don't like is how they have different tones on the lips. Sometimes I think it looks a bit better if they're all one tone. So I'm just going to do that. I just think it looks just a little bit better, in my own personal humble opinion. Now it says that it added some red in there. I don't know where they've added royal red, but it's not a colour that we want to use, no sir. We're going to work on the rest of his coloration. So for this, we're going to be working mostly with blue and yellow, white and black. So with that in mind, let's go to the cloth here and grab ourselves a nice blue. This should be fine. So it's mostly blue with some yellow going on there as well. We want to cover up as much as possible realistically. Yeah, that's looking fine. Unfortunately, you see, if we colour in this back of the coat, it's going to turn everything blue, and that's not what we want. So that's about as much blue as we need. Yes, now we need some nice yellow. And this is going to be the one of choice. We're going to add that in there. So as you can see, it's going to do that line down the back, but we're just going to have to work with that. And we can add yellow in here and here. And that's pretty good. So that's his coat done. Again, this is quite simplistic in terms of the coloration. We're just going to get some white in there for his... Oh, do I want maybe this slightly... Yeah, that's a better white. We'll add that white in for his shirt and cuffs. Not bad. And then we're going to be working with black. So we're going to make his cuff black there. The gloves will be black. I think we'll make his trousers black too. Yeah, that's not bad. I like that. One thing we are going to do while I'm on the subject of black coloration is we're going to make his hair black, which it is. So let's do that. Very nice, very nice. Brown eyes seems fine to me. And that's most of his coloration done. We're just going to get some black leather for the belt. And a nice kind of regular muted grey for the buckle. And that's going to be pretty much fine. One thing I do want to do really quickly is change those gloves to a leather. Yeah, that's better. Much better. Lovely. Good stuff. Okay, so now let's work on the goggles. Now, we want them to be yellow, but as you can see, this yellow isn't really what we're looking for. It's not bright enough. Whereas if we go with the stained one, it gets to be a little bit too luminous. And then this one is more green than anything. So what I'm actually going to do is go with a fire instead, and that is going to be much better because it sort of switches up, you know, depending on where you're drawing from. Those sort of goggles or glass on top of his head are either yellow or orange. So we're just going to make them that kind of combination of the two, and then what I might do is just make the rest of them white, if I can try and get in there with that. It's not really changing the colour as far as I can see. Let's experiment and see. If we change them to that black and then make them white again, it's kind of as close as we're going to get, but it's not bad. It's not bad. The final thing for his coloration is the boots, and they're kind of a two-tone grey. We're going to go with a couple of different greying colours on here. So, yeah, this I think... what else can we use? We might have to do a bit of editing on coloration here. Bit of a tricky one here. Let's see. No, that's not quite right either. Let's at least get this coloration in, because that is important. The kind of accenting on there. Let's make the bottom of them that grey as well. I kind of want the rest to be just a little bit darker, if at all possible. If I was to go with this, as you can see, that's a little bit too dark for my liking. But what I think we're going to do is go into the colour editor and make it lighter. So that's the charcoal one. If we just move it up and away from the pink, that's not bad. Yeah, I quite like that. I quite like that. That'll do nicely. Okay, so that for the most part is his coloration done. I quite like a bit of a darker black though on here. So if I move this down, that's better. And if I move this down, that's better too. Why does it have aspects of pink in it? I don't want that. Much better. I don't want there to be any pink in there because it's just not part of this colour scheme. So that's going to act quite nicely. As I say, that for the most part is him kind of finished in terms of his general coloration of his outfit. If we go back to paints and go to the metal, we'll add that in there. Now, the reason we're putting him on this, it would be very easy to just put him on like flagstone or something like that. The reason I want to put him on this this grating is because in the cartoon, and certainly I'm sure in the comics as well, he uses like a sewer grating as kind of his transportation. He flies around on it. So while we're going to be putting in lightning effects to show his power, we're actually going to break from tradition. For the first time, we're not going to have the rim be just plain black. We're going to make that more of the spell effect to show him kind of in a flying motion. So let's have a look and see what we can do. In gear, as you can see, there's all these new spell effects. The tiny ghost I really quite like. We're not going to use it, but it's quite fun. So let's find spells. As you can see, look at all these spells. There's so many. And there's actually some really cool options that I didn't know existed. For example, if you click Magic Orb, that's all very well and good, but if you click Two-Handed, suddenly there's an awesome spell effect. We're not using that. As I said, we're focusing on lightning. Now we have two options. We have the Lightning Bolt, which from the side you can see looks like this. And we have Summoned Lightning, which looks like this. What I want is the Lightning Bolt. So we're going to have those in both hands. We are also going to add some stuff to the base in terms of our items. Now, unfortunately, as I get a text from someone, I'll get that later. It's my friend Pete. We could ideally use another lightning thing here, but as you can see, they haven't quite got round to adding that, if they are going to at all, which is unfortunate, but it just means what we're going to do instead is use the smoke effect. We've used this before. I'm sure I certainly have used it on many builds. We're going to add that in instead, and that's all we're going to be adding to this entire build in terms of things. Now we're going to be focusing on colour, and we only have one more thing to add because it's going to be all of these. So if we go on colour, and we go to paints, and we go back to flame, what we have down here is something called Healing Glow. This is the one we want to focus on. As you can see, it's this kind of bluey yellow, and we are going to add this to everything we have left. And we're going to edit it later. So if we add this to everything, as you can see, it's not quite static's coloration. There is no yellow in his power. If anything, that is more of a pink. So what we want to do here is change this up. So if we go into the mix, we go to Healing Glow, the high we want to change completely. We want that to be around about here. We want this mid-tier colour to be lighter to around here, and we want the low one to kind of fit with that too. It's still a little bit yellow for my liking. Not quite sure why. Why do you still have yellow in you? That should not be the case. What is happening there? That's new. Didn't think that would happen. Maybe it's the low that's the problem. No, it's not. Okay, new plan. New plan. We're going to try something else. Let's try this. The ice colouring. Because that actually has much more of a lightning kind of blue to it. So if we add this in, we might be able to play with that just a little more. If we add this to here, I'm kind of going out on a limb with this. I haven't really messed with this too much. But if we now go into the mix and start playing with this, get that high one to a pink, and that is much better. Much better. Much, much better. Love it. We take that to about here. The low one we want a little bit more definition on. What's it doing? What do we think of that? I wonder, actually, if we just copy this and move it to here, and sort of take this to the... Ooh, that's not what I want. As I say, I'm really kind of spitballing this. That's not bad, although I think I prefer it a little bit lighter on there. Okay. That's not bad. Certainly not bad for his own lightning. I wonder if we could just make it that. That's actually better. Yes, it adds in the kind of silvery, and the pink is more of an accent, if anything else. What I want to do right about now is use a different one to just take the edge off some of these. Yeah, I quite like that. I quite like that effect. We have more of a pink going on here with the static lightning coming out of his hands, and this is more of a kind of extra spell effect. So that is much better. Now we can finalize him. Let's get that pose in. Now what we want is to show him kind of in a flying pose, and there is a perfect one for this. It might be this. No, that's not quite right. There is one I had in mind. I think it's this one. No, it's not that one either. Ooh, I tell you what it might be. It might be the archery one. Is it this maybe? Heavy weapon? No. There is one I had in mind. I think it's this. No, it's not. What am I looking for? Ah, I think it is this one actually, now I think about it. Yes, this is the one I am thinking of. So, what we want with this... We don't need to do much with the spell effects. It's actually quite interesting if they do merge into him, because it is his power. What we want to do now is kind of get him with a more of a flying thing going, because he uses his lightning kind of push off. So if we can do that, let's get his left arm in a different position. So we'll twist it. No, that's fine as it was. If we kind of bend it backwards and tilt it down just a bit, move the elbow out to here, and then change his wrist up. We kind of tilt it down and make it more like this. Now it looks more like he's using it to fly. And it's much better. Yes. That is what we're talking about. That is much better. Awesome. Is he fine with that going there? Yeah, I mean, we could try and make it so that his both hands are pushing down, but I quite like him like this, and to be honest, I think that that is about as good as we're going to get, and that is going to be Static Shock done. So, let's have a little walk around and see what we've got. So, Static, it's recognisable to him because of the coat, you know, his skin tone, his hair. We've messed with the goggles a bit because what we want is a mask and glasses, but we can't do that, so we've had to go with the next best thing. The spell effects on the base aren't exactly what I would like, but it does sort of show his power coming through. The main thing comes from these new awesome lightning spell effects. As we go around, we can see coming out of his hands. We've done the base in the same to show that he's kind of using that for flight, which is awesome. Going around the back, as you say, we've got that sort of yellow line down the back. Again, not ideal, but it's fine. We're not really seeing that too much. As we scroll around, the hair is looking good. We show him sort of using that lightning power to give him motion. The gloves are in place as well, and the boots look pretty much fine. So that is going to be Static Shock, rather I should say Static from Static Shock, done. So thank you all very much for watching. I do hope that you've enjoyed. Let me know, as ever, you know, if there are any characters you want to see me build. I'm always looking for new ideas of video game, movie, TV, comic, all that good stuff. All those characters I'm always looking to build. So if you've got any ideas, drop them down in the comment section below or hit me up on Twitter. You can always catch me there. Both my Twitter links will be in the description, along with, as ever, the link to Hero Forge, the site I'm using to make these minis. They are constantly doing updates. It's one of my favourite and most used websites on the internet. It is my absolute go-to for my minifigures for D&D. It might be yours too, so I highly encourage you to go and check out Hero Forge. You'll also see the website written in the bottom right hand corner of your screen. And of course, also in the description you'll find links to the playlist that inspired this one, Tulok the Barbarian's Building Character playlist. But that's going to be enough from me. I've rambled on far too long, so my final thank you to you all for watching. And I guess with that, I'll see you next time. Laters.